You know what's rocked Donald Trump's world, shaken him to his core, if he has one? It is the 1 a.m. ruling by the United States Supreme Court last Saturday, which was fully against him 7-2, concerning his deportation and immigration policies under the Alien Enemies Act. He got a full stop work order by the Supreme Court at 1 o'clock in the morning. That on the backs of an order that came out from the Fourth Circuit with Judge Wilkinson 3 days earlier. Those two things show a tremendous miscalculation by the Trump administration. And now they're trying to reverse course and get them out of the hole that they're in with the various federal courts. Publicly, sure, they're acting like bullies that are fighting the federal courts. But behind the scenes and things that they're filing, it's not the same story. We actually break it down for you and explain it to you one place only on the YouTube dial, Legal AF, the podcast. And here's a clip. It's the Fourth Circuit on the 17th of April rules strongly against Donald Trump, led by Judge Wilkinson. I'll read to you from passages there. We said at the time, how are they going to take on Wilkinson? He's not a leftist. He's not a fascist. He's not a Marxist. He's not an activist. He's not a left wing. He's not corrupt. He's all the opposite of all those things. He actually wrote a book about against judicial activism that basically focuses on judicial humility. So he's the opposite. He's on the Mount Rushmore of the Federalist Society. So what were they going to do with him calling out the Trump administration? And then the next day, we saw what I thought was the response, and you did too, which was basically a Stephen Miller created social media post on the White House official account that had the New York Times headline with the, yeah, he's never coming back, MS-13. And we're like, oh, well, that's the way to respond to Wilkinson. And I don't think there it is, thank you. And I don't think the Supreme Court, that's not on Donald Trump's private truth, whatever. That's on the White House effing social media platform. And so I don't think the Supreme Court appreciated that. I know they didn't. I don't think they appreciated what it looks to be an insult to Judge Wilkinson, who's very highly regarded. A lot of the people on the Supreme Court either clerk for him or clerk for somebody off of him. They didn't appreciate that. And I thought, is Wilkinson even going to get through to this administration? And then it showed up, right? But in secret, in public, Donald Trump bashing away at Zinnis, the judge, bashing away at the Supreme Court. You're making me keep criminals here. We can't give everybody due process. That'll take too long before they go to jail. I mean, it's literally, he's like an infant in a high chair about our bedrock constitutional principles. So he's doing all that in public. And then but what's failing is he loses badly with Wilkinson. He then, after that's on Wednesday or Thursday. On Saturday morning, we all wake up to our phones blowing up. 1 a.m. Supreme Court. I'm thinking, what happened? They pulled the plug on somebody in a death penalty? No, they make a ruling, probably without jurisdiction, to block the deportation of people in Northern District of Texas because they don't trust the Trump administration. And even Alito was like, well, I don't think we should have done it at 1 o'clock in the morning. However, Trump administration, you better abide by our rulings. So even he's saying that because they're thinking he's not going to. So you got these bookends of Wilkinson and then the Supreme Court at 1 a.m. And they never rule at 1 a.m. All right. I joke that you don't see 50 and 60 and 70-year-olds moving this fast except in the Senior Olympics. I mean, that's quick for the Supreme Court, right? So they got that. And they're sitting on it right now, by the way. I don't know, 5 days have gone by, almost a week's gone by. They haven't ruled. They could have ruled. They may rule. And we'll update you on Legal AF and all of that. But so you got those two things going on. Then they decided to put their foot to the gas and try to smear Abrego Garcia and his family in the court of public opinion from the bully pulpit of the United States of America. So he wears a Chicago Bulls jersey. Okay, there was a confidential informant who said he was a member of a gang. Okay, what else you got? Oh, he's a wife beater. Well, let's take a look at that document. Oh, okay, so the wife filed for a restraining order. Sounds like it's something that's important, but something within their marriage. What else you got? Oh, he's a potential human trafficker. That's the latest one. Why? He had 7 people in the car. Oh, God forbid you bring your 7 buddies home after a party and now you're a human trafficker. So that failed because the public opinion is not turning against it, and the Democrats know it. They're marching down like ants at a picnic down to El Salvador, one at a time, Cory Booker, Van Hollen, and the rest, to go visit this guy. I think the more they visit him and focus attention on him, and he's already been moved to a new prison, which I was like, that's interesting. They moved him out of the seat cot, and now he's somewhere else. And then that's public, right? So that's not working. Rock our world with the two decisions, and now what? Here, let me read this to the audience. I think I can grab it quick enough. This is in response to an interrogatory. And in the interrogatory, which I might have to paraphrase. Here it is. I was saying I couldn't find it quick enough. I've looked at it so much today, it's like dog-eared. But I'll tell you what it says. In response to what steps are you taking? This is what they said, Karen. They said, until the Fourth Circuit, that's the Wilkinson ruling that I'll read to you from, until they clarified what the word facilitate means. I'm like, what is this, a spelling bee? Use it in a sentence? Okay. Facilitate his release from an El Salvadoran prison. Which word in there are you not getting? We thought it meant domestic facilitation. Like, that doesn't even pass even the straight face test for this administration. So under that theory, if Armando Garcia breaks out of jail, like a prison break, and he just shows up like on a raft at a port, or he's stowaway on a plane, then they'll let him in. I mean, they'll deport him again to someplace not named El Salvador, but they'll let him in. But that's all we have to do. So they said, until the Fourth Circuit clarified what facilitate meant, we thought it meant this. But now that they've clarified, we are in discussions, diplomatic discussions with El Salvador for the possible return. But we can't tell you what they are. Very sensitive. Now, the last time they said something like that was in open court, when Drew Ensign said it in advance of the dictator of El Salvador arriving to the Oval Office on Monday, a week ago Monday, where they said, well, Monday is going to be, two presidents are going to be meeting. It's a bilateral summit. We'll see what happens. Well, we know what happened. It was a chuckle fest, except a man's life is at stake. With the pitch and catch. Well, I wouldn't smuggle in a terrorist. Well, I wouldn't let you smuggle in a terrorist. Hey, how about taking some of our U.S. citizens? I'll build more beds. And Stephen Miller, like the Grim Reaper, standing in the background, scripted the whole thing, along with Pam Bondi. Remember that whole thing? I never saw a president. I mean, there's so many things we haven't seen with Trump, who violates the solemnity of the Oval Office and shits on it more than Donald Trump. Let's bring everybody in. Who's in the hallway? Come on in. Yeah, everybody in. It's like a clown car filled with just 40 clowns that all pile out for this ridiculous staged, scripted show that they try to use in court, and it didn't work. So now they're either working behind the scenes like they've just basically told the other side, and now that's going to lead to deposition. They're in depositions right now. Questions and answers under oath, live and in person. And they're asking questions. Tell us about the diplomatic things you're doing. What are the phone calls you're making? Because no one can believe, Karen, that America, even under Trump, took people, paid a country $6 million, dumped them off in a prison, and don't have a receipt for it, don't have a contract, don't have an agreement, don't have the ability to jointly control what happens to them. Nobody believes that. And so their continued focus on that is backfiring for them. And Donald Trump, who is a poll watcher, a cable news watcher, and you can lobby the crap out of Donald Trump. He'll change his policies and positions based on who last talked to him. We just found out like Walmart and all these major companies just marched into the Oval Office today and said, what are you doing on China? And cut it out. And then he freaked out and told his Treasury Secretary to back off on China. And then the markets went sky high. So whoever gets to Donald Trump last, because he's a poll watcher and the polls are crappy for him. What do you think? What do you think the next step is with Abrego Garcia? You think we're going to see this guy? I don't mean like out for dinner. I mean back in the United States before a federal judge.
I think at a certain point, Donald Trump is going to realize this is a really bad look for him because it makes him look weak. I mean, if he can't say to El Salvadoran president, I mean, El Salvador is this teeny tiny little country, right? If he can't say to that president, bring that person back, he's weak.
Welcome back. We sit at the intersection of law and politics every week, twice a week, actually, because, so we can bring you our our commentary, and you are up to speed. We teach you things you may not have known before, have thought of in a certain way, and we do it Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Network. You can watch us record it. You can watch the video. Some people like consuming their podcast that way, or you can pick us up the old-fashioned way, OG way. Pick us up on the audio podcast platform of your choice. We're trying to grow this particular channel as well, and Legal AF as well. Come on over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button as we continue to grow our pro-democracy channel. We're number 13 in the world. We'd like to join our brothers as the number 1 or number 2 podcast. With your help, we will. So hit the subscribe button here on the YouTube channel for Legal AF, and of course, listen to us on audio and video for the podcast itself. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.